You weren't there, you don't know, you probably don't understand. Hi friends, shalom. I'm not Jewish. I don't know why I said that. I wanted to have a real talk with you guys today. I have some thoughts going through my head, so there's probably going to be more than one video like this, so buckle up for that. Not about this particular topic, just about things that I've been thinking about that I wanted to share. And based off of the title of this video, you already know what we're going to be talking about today. And this is something that I think is really important. And I want to make sure that I share my thoughts on it because I was placed in a unique position to witness it, and then I went through some steps to try to understand it, and the realization that I've come to might be able to help somebody if you're going through something similar. So yeah, without giving too much away, that's what this video is about. Welcome. If it's your first time here, my name's Rebecca and this is my channel. So if you don't know, if you missed it, a little bit of background on all of this. In January of last year, I was attacked and almost killed by a dog that we had. It was really bad. I ended up making a video about it, which I will link, but trigger warning if you decide to go and watch it. It's very unscripted, very honest, very real, and I do share some pictures as well. So if you're not good with like gore and that kind of thing, I mean, it's not super gory, but it's my face full of stitches and all bruised up and everything. So if that's not something that you are real comfortable with, just be aware that you're gonna see that kind of thing in that video. At any rate, that happened. And after it happened and I was home again recovering, I had a decision to make about how I wanted to react going forward. Either I could hide myself away, pretend like nothing had happened, disappear basically until my face went back to normal, whatever that would mean for me. Or I could be honest about what I was going through and share my experience and just integrate it into who I am and go forward. Now, I am always in favor of doing the healthier thing, so I went with the latter of those two options and I decided to be honest about it. I made that video, I posted about it on my social media. For the most part, the response that I got was really positive. Overwhelmingly so. Like the 95% of the response that I got was just incredibly loving and positive. Of course, it's the other 5% that is negative that seems to stick with you the longest, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. But I decided to do that, and I didn't really think anything much would come of it, but a editor for a news conglomerate in the UK, I don't really know what to call it, she worked for the company, I guess, that owns like the UK Sun and Yahoo Mail and like all those different like rag type publications, for lack of a better term. Anyway, she reached out to me and said that they wanted to do a story about me. She had seen my video and was interested in interviewing me for a story. I was not expecting that whatsoever, and I had a really long conversation with Stuart about it because I realized that while sharing my story was exactly what I wanted to do, and the positive impact that I could potentially have on people who were going through something similar or knew somebody who had gone through something similar could be enormous, I would also be opening myself up to a lot of negativity, because that's just life, that's the internet, that's just the way it's going to be. But ultimately I decided that any positives would outweigh any cons, and so I decided to go ahead, did the interview, it blew up, it did really well, ended up doing another interview with another magazine a few months later. I gained a bunch of followers on Instagram, I met some wonderful people. It's not about the followers, I just say that I got a significant amount of attention from it, and I met some people online that I still follow and talk to today. They're awesome people. But just like I had thought, I was exposed to negativity, negative comments from people who thought that it was their duty to reach out and tell me that I was the one that was at fault, that no animal would ever do something like this, no dog would ever do something like this, I was in the wrong, I must have done something to provoke him and it was my fault. And so I got that from the internet, and then I also got it from my workplace, from my command in the Navy, and I could make a whole different video about the Navy and my command and how they handled me getting hurt. But suffice it to say that it was very clear that the Navy did not care about my health and well-being. That was not their concern whatsoever, and that became very obvious. But like I said, whole different topic, whole different video. At the very least, there were people in my command who immediately jumped to blaming me for what had happened. And it was more of the same kind of stuff. And it was even coming from people who really should know better. There was a woman who has worked with military working dogs her whole life. If anybody should know that sometimes there's just a screw loose and dogs just do things, it would be her. But even she immediately jumped to, oh, well, what was she doing? What was she doing wrong? How did she cause this to happen? This is her fault. And so there was a lot of that. And the weeks and months following my attack and then my recovery and sharing my story, all of that. And then even as recent as this past January, I put together a post for Instagram and Facebook on the anniversary or the day after the anniversary of my attack, because it's a significant day for me. I learned a lot through this experience, and I will never not have that as a part of who I am. It will never not be something that has contributed to my experience and how I view the world, and it's not going to be something that I'm going to pretend hasn't happened. And so I shared an anniversary post, but even then I got a message from somebody who I had thought was my friend saying something along the lines of how I had made a sappy post and
I wasn't still upset about that, was I?
as if I should be over the day that I almost lost my life. It's just that kind of thing. I say all of this not to be like, oh, woe is me, feel bad for me. That's not what it is at all. This is just to illustrate the wide variety of negative comments and backlash that I received as a result of speaking up about what had happened to me. And so this led me to question why people are so quick to jump to blaming the victim in any type of horrible situation, be it a sexual assault or an attack, or even more minor things like a car accident or maybe not getting a job that they really wanted. I think if we're really honest with ourselves, we can all think of times where we might have victim blamed in some minor way. And I really started to ask why. Why do people do that? Why is that the knee-jerk reaction for people anytime something bad happens? And so I did some Googling and some internet research like I do, and I actually ended up finding a Psychology Today article. And if I can find it again, I'll link it down below. But it was about the psychology of victim blaming and why people victim blame. And basically, what it all boils down to, you get down to the very crux of the issue. It's about people trying to practice self-preservation. And I know that sounds strange, but let me explain it and I think it'll make a little bit more sense. So you know somebody and something terrible happens to them, whatever it is. So then you say, oh, well, that thing happened because they did X, Y, and Z, which led to this event, which led to this terrible thing happening. Well, I would never do those things, and I would never put myself in that position, so this terrible thing will never happen to me. So I'm safe. It's all about self-preservation. If you can rationalize the horrible thing that happened, if you can lay out the chain of events that led to that thing happening, then you can, in essence, say, well, I would never do that, I would never go there, I would never act that way, whatever. So that will never happen to me. And when I realized that, it really reframed my perception of these people. And I actually feel quite a bit of compassion for them, which I know sounds bizarre, but how can you not just feel sorry for someone who has to put that much weight on the shoulders of a victim in order to feel safe themselves? How fragile and insecure and out of control that person must feel for them to do something like that. Blaming a victim in any capacity isn't really kind. You're not being sensitive to the experience that that person had. You're not being empathetic towards them. It's all about me, myself, and I, the experience that you are having and how you can protect yourself. And I say you in the broader sense of the term, not you directly. I feel bad. I feel bad for people like that. And realizing that has really reframed everything for me. Now, that's not to say that I entertain these people or waste my time talking to them, especially on the internet, because you will never convince anybody of anything on the internet. And I have always placed my own safety and well-being and mental health above anybody else. But it has let me let go of the negative feelings that being blamed for something that I had absolutely no control over has brought on me. It's allowed me to let go of that and realize, you know what? This isn't about me or my experience. This person isn't even thinking about me and my experience. They're thinking about themselves and how they can protect themselves from ever going through something like this. It really just changed everything. So I'm sharing this now because I've had a long time to think about it, over a year now, and I'm hoping that if you have been through something terrible, whatever it may be, or even maybe something more minor, but you're still being blamed for something that you really didn't have any control over, maybe it will help you reframe your perception and perspective of the person or people laying that blame. And maybe it will help you have a little bit more empathy towards yourself. I think a lot of the time, obviously, what ends up happening is somebody's blamed and they take that blame and make it a part of themselves when they shouldn't, when they had absolutely no reason to do that and they were completely blameless in the entire situation. But that's the really insidious thing about victim blaming. It's about the person doing the blaming, but then the person being blamed takes it on and integrates it into themselves, and it really causes just a host of inner turmoil and problems with healing and with moving on. Those are my thoughts on victim blaming, on why it happens, on why people do it. I really hope that somebody will see this and that maybe will help them. I know a lot of people who have been through really horrific things and are still living with the pain of those events and are still placing way more responsibility on themselves for whatever it was that happened than they should. So maybe somebody will see this and it will help them. If nothing else, maybe it'll give you something to think about. And the next time you hear about something unpleasant or unfortunate or terrible happening to somebody that you know, or even that somebody that you don't know, somebody that you know nothing about, somebody that you read about in an article online, rather than immediately jumping to, oh, it must be their fault, or oh, they must have done something to deserve this, maybe take a step back and just send some sympathetic energy their way and just leave it at that. Just leave it at that, because it's not your place, it's none of your business, you weren't there, you don't know, you probably don't understand, and just leave it at that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Like I said, I have other real talk ideas that I want to put out, so there'll be at least another video somewhat like this at some point down the line. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you aren't subscribed yet, I hope that you will consider subscribing and checking out all the other stuff that I have done on this channel, and that I will see you for my next video, whenever and wherever that may be. Bye guys.